On today's episode of You Asked, what's the difference between the Hisense Q7 and U7 series? Is the Sony A95L a worthy upgrade from the LG C8? What's the best 48-inch TV to buy? And why might your TV be cutting off parts of the image? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is You Asked, the show where we answer your tech questions. If you've got something you want to know, send your question to youasked@digitaltrends.com. And don't forget to tune into the show to see if your question has been selected. We begin with Sam Strauss 1511, who says, I know this is an old video and a dumb question, but how much better is the Sony A95L compared to this? He's referencing a review of the LG C8 in 2018. Sam continues, I'm looking to upgrade from my 55-inch C8, which is still great, but I am a picture enthusiast and looking to upgrade. Is it a major jump to upgrade? Any info would be great. First of all, there are no dumb questions, just occasionally a dumb answer from yours truly. But that's why we have all of you in the comments to help out. And second, this is the approach I think more people could learn from. You're writing out your LG C8, which, like you said, is still great and was actually named our 2018 Best TV of the Year. And before upgrading, you're trying to gauge if it's worth it. I think we get so hyped up on spec sheets that we forget that we're living in a golden age where it takes a while for picture quality to take a significant leap. It's just not happening year over year, minus some of the top tier TVs that make big changes to hardware. Anyway, to answer your question, I think the areas you'll see the biggest improvements are in how the TV handles color gradient and upscaling, which both have to do with processing. That's certainly improved since the C8 was released, and Sony's been one of the best, if not the best in that department for a little while now. By the numbers, overall brightness and peak brightness are also higher on the A95L. That might not be as noticeable when viewing SDR content, but for HDR in a peak 2% window, there's a difference of about 500 nits according to ratings measurements. This makes a difference for bright objects on screen like the sun, for example. That will just really pop out even more on the A95L. Plus, with a QD OLED panel on the Sony, you're going to get enhanced color volume and brighter details. You're also getting a quality of life improvement with the interface, which should be a bit snappier and more responsive, and in my opinion, a bit easier to use with Google TV. So, will you notice a difference? Yes. Is it significant? Also yes. Is it a good time to buy an A95L? I would also say yes. It looks like it's come down another $200-ish over the last month or so. All in all, hats off to the LG C8 for still holding its own 7 years after its release, but there have been significant enough advances to warrant an upgrade and be happy with the money you'll spend. Up next, Tyrone Tozer 8005 says, at the moment, I'm using the LG CX and starting to get burn-in. The Hisense U7 that you mentioned, is that the same as the Q7N? I know different countries name them differently. Or my other option will be the TCL QM7 or QM8. Out of those, which would you recommend? I can get the Hisense 100-inch for a really great price. Well, lots of good options there, Tyrone. However, let me immediately point out that the Q7N is not the same as the U7, and the difference is in that first letter. The Q in Q7N means it is a QLED quantum dot TV, but the U in the U7 series means it's a ULED TV, which is a considerably better performer with mini LED backlighting and full array local dimming, higher brightness, and some of Hisense's best processing. So if you do go that route, U7, not Q7, which is one of their budget TVs. And in saying all this, I should also point out that we just posted a video explaining Hisense's 2025 TV lineup, and that might help answer some questions as well. Now, compared to the TCL options you mentioned, the U7N is in the same ballpark as the QM7. I'll also note that both of those are 2024 models, and the updated 2025 versions of those TVs do differ a little bit more. I'm just going off of what you said in the question. The TCL QM8, however, is the standout of what you mentioned in this group, and if that's within your budget, that's going to be your winner, hands down. It's the brightest of the bunch in SDR and HDR viewing with superior contrast to match. As for getting the Hisense at the 100-inch size, if you've got the room to support it and aren't sitting too close, I say go for it. But if you're within 10 feet, maybe save the money with a smaller option and add a good soundbar system to get superior audio to match the high quality visuals. Jean Ann Leone 4154 asks, what kind of TV can I buy so that I can see the whole picture? I'm tired of having heads cut off and writing at the bottom of the screen that I can't see, like weather warnings, etc. It's very frustrating. Is it impossible to find a TV like this? Hey Jean, that is definitely frustrating, and it sounds like you've had this issue with multiple TVs. If that's the case, I'd say it's probably not the TV. My guess, not knowing exactly how you're receiving the signal, is that it's something with your display settings, and particularly the settings for something like a cable box. If the display settings are off there, it's going to cut things off no matter what TV you have. Check to make sure you're using the correct aspect ratio, typically 16:9 for modern content and local programming that would have weather warnings. If you're using a cable box remote, look for words like aspect, zoom, or format to make sure it's not cropping into the TV image and cutting those things off. If you're still having problems after that, let us know your setup and take a few pictures of that and your remote and send them in to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and we can go from there to try to help in more detail. Rochelle M asks, what do you recommend for a 48-inch TV? Well, you certainly kept it simple on the question, but without more information, primarily your budget and picture preferences, it's a bit open-ended. Still, let's go through a few good options. If you want the best picture quality at that size, OLED is the way to go. The LG B4 or B5 would be great budget options as long as you're in a space where it doesn't have to compete with a lot of ambient light. You'd be getting all the great contrast of OLED with good processing, but if you do need a little bit more brightness, look at the LG C4 or C5 instead. That's the best OLED that LG makes at the 48-inch size. Samsung has the S90F, which, at least for their 2025 models, I think is the only OLED they make in the 48-inch size. However, in that case, I would say if you can do it, maybe reach up to the 55-inch S90F instead. That's where you'll get the superior QD OLED panel instead of WRGB OLED at that 48-inch size. As for mini LED TVs, the Samsung QN90F, the 2025 model, and QN90D from 2024 are available at 50 inches. They're among the best non-OLED TVs you can buy. But again, if it were me in this situation, I'd start looking at 55 inches and comparing prices if you have the space for it. You're just gonna have a lot more options with Sony, Hisense, and TCL when it comes to mini LED TVs, and you'll probably find some pretty sweet deals right now. That does it for this week's episode. As always, I implore you to weigh in and help answer some of our viewer questions in the comments below. It always helps to have more than one opinion, especially from those of you that have spent months or years with the product in question. Don't forget to get those questions in for future episodes, and we'll see you again soon.